Welcome. It's the holiday edition, the year in review edition. It's the end of the year. We're going to have an extravaganza. Welcome to Connect This. I'm Chris Mitchell from the Institute for Local Self-Reliance, and believe it or not, I'm on vacation right now, which means that finally I'm getting paid what I deserve to make this show. So I'm happy to be here with other people who are not getting paid. I hope Rye is getting paid because he's doing real work behind the scenes to do the show. But we're going to review our predictions, maybe talk a little bit about what's on the top of our heads. And then for folks who are in the chat, we hope you're going to be throwing in some ideas of what we should talk about or reactions. Welcome, everyone, and hope you're having a great December so far. Let me introduce the panel. It's our usual folks. Oh, and we might be joined at some point here by Matt Larson from VistaBeam. We're hoping he'll be able to drop by at some point when he gets off of a meeting to share some thoughts about his experience with Bead. But if not, we'll be getting him on a future show. So Kim McKinley coming to us, I think, from Utah. Oh, welcome from TAC Broadband, but in her home today, maybe?
I am in my home, but I just realized that my shirt and my walls match. So can you see me, or am I camouflaged?
It's just a floating head and hands.
Okay. Good to be here. Good to be here.
And also eyeglass frames.
Yeah, that's fair.
We got Doug Dawson coming to us from Asheville, North Carolina. Welcome, Doug, with CCG Consulting.
And on the top of my head today is very little hair, I notice. So it's getting less and less.
Yes. Yeah,
I might have to start wearing a hat like Travis. I don't know.
No, but fortunately, you don't have to worry because you're on charter, so you're not in high resolution, and no one can really tell just how many hairs there are.
Good point.
We got Travis Carter coming to us from, I think, North Texas. Are you there in North Texas, Mr. Travis? You're without affinity. You have no home right now.
No, we are in Anna, Texas currently. So 70 and sunny with blue skies, Mr. Mitchell.
Yeah. That sounds awful. We got rain last night, and there's, 4 miles of clouds between us and the sky right now. I don't know why you wouldn't want to be here.
Yes, and the naive person in me, if you've never been to a Buc-ee's gas station before, it's one of the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
It's my favorite place.
I should have brought it down. It's even festive in red.
Oh, it's unbelievable. So yes, I'm slowly becoming a Texan, y'all. So
nope. So I'll tell you, and I don't know, Kim, if you have any feelings about this, but I just visited TexBest, which is a different version of Buc-ee's in South Texas, and I prefer it to Buc-ee's. I'll just say it.
Why?
So is that the Microsoft Windows Phone version of Buc-ee's, or is
it with burritos and tacos?
Or the Android version of Buc-ee's? Which one is it? So
it's the spicier version.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. That could be the Android version of Buc-ee's, and I can't support that, Travis. I can't support that.
Or the Project Kuiper of Buc-ee's. I'm wondering if that's what it is. Of course, he likes the other one.
All right, we are going to be reviewing the predictions for the year, which is a way for us to just talk more about what happened over the course of the year. A year that I hope that on January 1st we can all just forget ever happened and focus on the next one. But I wanted to share something before we do that, which is the experience that I just got to go over with my dad, who, if you remember a few years ago, I talked about how when they moved, they ended up getting Comcast, and the setup service was really nice. It worked quite well. And then a technician that had to come at one point because because they didn't have a physical line to their house. Great guy. Came out fairly rapidly, and we had a good experience. Well, it's been some number of years since then, and so his price had gone up $10 the first year, and then some amount the next year, and this year was $30. So he was like, "What?" So he called his one other option that wasn't based in space for service, and this is a suburb of St. Paul, barely outside of St. Paul. Like, I bike there on the regular. It's pretty easy, and so like he's in a quite urban area, and so the CenturyLink person tells him they've got a great deal for him. It's super fast. It is their 1.5 M package.
Yes. Yes.
And so I was like, really? That's the best they could do. And I'd actually passed. I was going to take a picture of it for this show. I had passed near a major intersection on the way there. There was a heavy duty fiber cables coming off the pole going into the back of a Lumen truck. And so I was thinking maybe they're getting ready to extend fiber out in that area. And I checked out on the FCC's broadband data collection to see the CenturyLink told the FCC they can do 0.2 megabits per second to his house. So he's on Comcast. and
you know what this means? That means when they lied to him and they advertised it at 1.5, see, they exaggerated.
Yes. Yeah. Which is quite an exaggeration. But I wish he'd recorded the sales pitch, because he said the guy was telling him it was going to meet all of his needs. So my dad's been going back and forth with Comcast to try and figure out what to do. They are pushing so hard for him to take the TV service. They'll take $20 off of that $30 increase if you'll take the TV service for a year at no additional charge. Doug, I assume they're just trying to pump their numbers with Wall Street. What exactly are they trying to do here? Any idea with pushing the TV so hard?
They're doing, I think Charter's doing the same. I just upgraded to a gigabit of broadband, and in order to get that special price, I had to take TV for free. So I think it's customer numbers. I think they want to say they have X number of customers. I mean, I'm not even going to ever hook it up to anything, but I have TV free for a year. And I had to take that in order to get the cheap price on the gigabit. So yeah,
well, that's exactly what my dad saw.
Are we thinking that they are doing that because they want to reduce the amount of losses, because everybody keeps pointing out to the amount of losses they have on their TV subscription?
Yeah.
So it's like they're trying to stop the bleeding, because that would make sense from a financial perspective.
Yeah, I think it's customer
perspective.
Yeah, it's customer counting. It's got to be, because there's no sense for it. So
yeah, we talked before about how it seems like Wall Street's reaction is based purely on that number of subs and not on ARPU, the average revenue per user. So so anyway, now he's getting a TV service he's also never going to hook up, and it was pretty entertaining. And also he doesn't get the deal with the 1 gig, so he's getting the 2 gig service from Comcast. So I don't know, but it was miserable. And I was talking to him about it, and he was like, I don't know, like, what should I do? And I was just like, look, think of it this way: your bill's going to go up $15. Oh, because if he increased his bill also, and he took the price lock that you mentioned before, Doug. So if he agreed to a slightly higher price in the first year, then it would lock and never go up for 5 years. And I was like, you're going to pay an extra $15 a year to not talk to anyone from Comcast for 5 years. Do you think that's worth it? And he said, sign me up, because he just doesn't want to deal with them ever again if he can avoid it.
And his $30 increase came because he signed up for a package and he forgot he did. He got it.
No. He signed up. That package expired more than a year ago. So that package expired 2 years ago, I want to say.
And they finally nailed him.
Has gone up twice since then.
Okay. Wow.
Can I just add that at what age do we all start becoming the IT people for our parents? Because I had this exact same conversation with my father like a month ago.
Right. The person who taught me most of my IT knowledge, my dad, who was like a software tester that traveled the world setting up quality assurance testing for like people around the world, like Fortune 500 companies. And like, he comes to me to be like, yeah, you're the one that knows about this stuff.
Thanks.
We do have Matt here. So let's bring Matt Larson in. Matt, welcome.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Matt.
Hello.
Matt's going to celebrate our victories in which we had great predictions last year. I just feel it. He's just going to tell us that we're all wrong.
I mean, I think he'll help us pad it out a little bit by talking about like, what happened and any interesting stories that pop into his head along the way. One last piece of wrapping that up. Juan asked, does the price include the autopay discount? Yes. Had to sign up for the autopay in order to get that $10 off, which has been a Comcast thing for a while.
Doug, can I ask a question on that? Doug, do you think there's any tie-in between the subscriber count and the content licensing that Comcast has with their vendors, which is why they're articulating it that way?
Here's the crazy thing: when they sign his father up for programming, they now have to pay those programmers, even if he never hooks it up. So it costs them money to sign him up. I don't get it. So
but they're paying themselves mostly, right? I mean, at least right now.
Well,
I mean,
no,
a lot of the content is them. I mean, obviously they're paying Disney, but
yeah, but there's a lot of channels that are not them, so they're paying
Yeah.
somebody. So it doesn't make any sense.
I just wondered if they had minimum.
It's got to be related to the stock price and counting customers. So yeah.
yeah. All right, we talked a little bit about BEAD over the course of the last year, and so let's lean into those predictions first, and then we'll pause the predictions to talk about Matt's experiences.
Can we ask
BEAD.
Matt what he thinks we've predicted?
Sure. Yeah, Matt, do you want to tell us what you think we've predicted along the way?
Yeah.
Man, I'd love to say more. I can only hear about every other word that you guys are saying.
Huh.
So
you want to drop off and try again?
I'll jump off and come back on. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Yep. We're gonna do a peekaboo while Matt does that. Rye's got one queued up for us, so let's look at an image here. Ah, yes, this is from Minneapolis, Travis.
Ooh, look at that beauty.
I was just wondering if you have any idea what's going on there.
My sense is there's road construction around there, and this is a temp pole kind of configuration.
Well, first off, it's a temporary pole, and they just wrap stuff up there without being careful just to get it the hell out of the way. There's no way they're going to keep that there.
I think that's in Cedar Riverside, Travis, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I took that photo. I found it from probably last winter.
So it's probably temp when they're redoing the roads. And the problem with communication companies is they'll give you you have to be here Tuesday from 9 to 2. So it's not like these guys have a lot of time. So they slap up a pole, run the cables over, and that's what you get until the roads are done.
All right.
Again, if we could pan right a little bit, we might be able to tell a little bit more, but I'm just kind of guessing that based on the cones and all the traffic.
Yeah, well, there's definitely construction going on. Yeah. So yeah.
All right.
Oh, well, we've seen worse. That's actually not terrible. So,
yeah.
Rye, behind the scenes, do you want to throw a link at Alexis to see if she wants to join us to talk about the GAO and the Wicker Bill? I know a little bit about it. Doug and I traded a little bit back. I know more. I've been thinking more about the GAO situation in BEAD than I'm not even sure what the Wicker Bill fully is that she's mentioning. No, apparently not. Well, you can just type a bunch of stuff out then, Alexis. So let's just start before we do let's do the predictions, and then we'll talk about BEAD more generally. That'll break it up nicely. First prediction came from Roger. Roger was on the show at the beginning of the year. And also Bob from Harry was on the show. Roger said BEAD would be canceled. It was just sort of an offhand thing that he said, and I feel like he mostly got it right. I feel like BEAD has mostly been canceled.
How has it been canceled? I mean, it's still a program, and 66 last time I checked, they're going to fiber. I feel like it has been far from canceled. It has not been the program we anticipated it to be.
Right. Well, I mean, I feel like let me justify this by saying of the people that were supposed to be connected by BEAD, the majority of them, like I said, 75% of them are not going to be connected by BEAD. Now, some of them were connected by Rescue Plan or other programs that are totally forgotten from the past few years. But many of them it was just decided that they already had good enough fixed wireless, from some of the liar companies. And then a bunch of other people are being left behind and they're not getting anything. I mean, you can't tell me the federal government writing a check to Elon Musk is actually solving a problem for people on the ground. That doesn't help them out at all. So yeah, I would say that BEAD's largely been canceled.
Yeah, let me just go through the numbers. We originally had 14 million. About 2.5 to 3 million of those did get hooked up by state grants and ARPA and stuff. So that legitimately took them off the list. And then I guess 1.5 million went to satellite. All the rest of those simply got canceled through the map challenge process. They simply wiped them out, even though they should have been in BEAD. And it was almost entirely fixed wireless. And you are in the state where that mattered. All of South Minnesota didn't get any BEAD because they said that they have fast fixed wireless when it's just not there. So
Yeah,
from Midco.
Crazy.
Midco, who has like no customers on any tower. Yeah.
Right.
Matt, are you able to hear us now? And if so, how much do you regret fixing the problem?
No, I'm good. I'm sad that I missed the opportunity to respond to Doug there about fixed wireless being such a problem. So you know.
Oh, I think it was me. I don't know. Did Doug say something about fixed wireless being a problem? Oh, you mean just now about? I mean, this is more a problem of mapping, I think, than like the fixed wireless technology. And I think also, and if you want to respond, you can. Like I've always said, there's good fixed wireless ISPs, and then there's fixed wireless ISPs that draw a giant circle around their antenna and pretend that everyone can get good service.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, that's you've got a wide spectrum of ISPs. It doesn't just apply to fixed wireless. You know,
no, absolutely.
There's good satellite and worse satellite, you know, for the different. There's good fiber providers and bad fiber providers. DSL, you take it down the line. That's everywhere.
Let me address. Yes,
go ahead.
Let me address that, because where I live in North Carolina, AT&T fiber was really good for a while. Everybody around here is starting to hate them. I mean, they are just doing a miserable job around here, which is really kind of amazing to watch. So, yeah.
I just need to say that we know that Matt is one of the good ones because he has a sign behind him that says "We are extraordinary." He's just putting it out there.
The reason that sign's back there is because I haven't got blinds for my window yet.
He's using the marketing.
I wish I had better, but thank you for noticing.
Doug, on behalf of Travis, who's going to be an AT&T fiber customer when he has 4 walls and a roof down there, what's going on with AT&T?
Well, let me tell you a story. I mean, I got 3 calls from people in 1 week to complain about AT&T because they figure I'm going to write about it, right? So one of them, they had an outage on a midweek on a Wednesday or so, and the whole neighborhood went out, 10 or 15 houses, and AT&T said they'd be there the next day. Well, they didn't show up for 7 or 8 days to fix it, and it turned out it wasn't that hard to fix. And then they offered them a $2.50 credit for having lost their internet for a week. So it was very generous of them. So yes, so now this is a neighborhood that also has Google Fiber. So they all got together and they all changed to Google.
Travis?
Well, we said there are varying different fiber, DSL, wireless providers, but we forgot the most important one. There's also much better podcasts too, aren't there? So, you know, that's
yes.
Yeah, I'll say I don't want to brag, and this is certainly the dumbest brag anyone will ever hear. But I got my numbers in. I listened to 5,000 episodes of podcasts in the year 2025 so far.
I'm sorry.
I have a little bit of a problem. I have over the past 9 years, my Zune tracks the podcast listening.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's just
I've listened to 570 days worth of podcasting in the past 9 years. So I'm closing in on my second year.
And somebody married you? Like, this is so surprising to me.
Well, I mean, think about it. If I'm listening to a podcast, my mouth is probably shut. So like, it's pretty good for everyone.
Yeah, I think this is positive. Yes.
Kim, I think that was a Make-A-Wish thing too, by the way.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Unfortunately, I beat the disease and she's stuck. So we're talking about the bead, and then we're going to talk about your experiences with it, Matt. I predicted, and I didn't have the courage to say it, I said people are underestimating the chance that bead will change significantly, but it probably won't. Fail. Didn't have the courage of my convictions. I said the changes to bead will primarily benefit LEO, not fixed wireless. I'm taking a win on that. Matt, what do you think? Do I deserve a win on that?
I think you deserve the win on that. Yeah. I don't think we benefited a ton on the fixed wireless side. I'm glad in some ways that Leo was able to participate, because there's definitely places where it makes sense. Oh,
no. Okay. I'm with you on it makes sense. It doesn't make sense for this program. It makes sense as a solution. I 100% agree with you. This program, I hate that we're writing these checks to Kuiper and Starlink. It drives me crazy.
I will agree. Not a fan. However, in order to try and address getting everybody connected, which was one of the goals of the program, there were places where there was just no good, feasible financial way to do stuff terrestrially.
Right.
So
I agree.
That's where satellite does fit in, and it helped make some of the projects more feasible. As somebody that's had to work on putting applications in, and it's like, well, if we're able to take out, these fringe deals that take the cost of the project up by, 65%, but return zero profitability, and break the economic feasibility of the project. It's like, please let satellite have them because it works. But it's right tool for the job. So, that's where I see the benefit of it. Now, from all the other standpoints of, do I like money dedicated for a state program to go to an out-of-state company that the state's never going to see any of that? That part, it kind of fails. But that's where BEAD as a job creation program, well, satellite doesn't really help with that. So that's where it does kind of fail out as on addressing the broadband needs and trying to get everybody connected. That it accomplishes that goal.
Yeah.
And the other place it failed was it was strictly assigned by cost instead of looking at a reasonableness test. Because close to me are several counties where the BEAD was applied for by co-ops who were there, and this was sort of edge out stuff, not that terribly expensive, but apparently it was over the threshold the state was willing to consider, and so they would have built fiber, but they didn't even get the chance to renegotiate like would have normally happened in a grant. So it simply went A, B, straight to satellite, and so there are 6 counties near us that went 100% to Amazon. And nobody here can understand why. It just doesn't make any sense. So, I mean, every single BEAD passing went to them. Some of them were right in the middle of a co-op serving area. So,
Travis made the prediction that there will be no new subs connected. Kudos, Travis. I think you've got that correct.
Hold on, no, just to be clear, isn't that the 6th year in a row, or is that the 5th year in a row I predicted that?
No, this was the 4th year of the program.
4th, okay. So
yes,
all right. So four wins. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and we will be doing predictions in the next show in January. Doug said the changes to BEAD will be around the edges, not changing the awards. But then Doug also said the extra money will be taken back by Congress, and I think the money might be taken back. We'll just drop off that last word because I don't know if Congress is going to be the one to do it. I think it might just be stolen. So. Bob, the last prediction we had on BEAD, Kim, for some reason I didn't record a prediction from you relating to BEAD, but
I was right. We can just say I was right. Let's just move on.
Okay. I'm okay with that. Bob had assumed that there would be something that was done and that there would be problems with not enough subs to do the construction and things like that. So we didn't get to that world. Those are the predictions on BEAD. Did I miss any?
Nope.
Okay. So BEAD has been in the news. We spent a little bit of time on that. Matt, tell us what's going on with you and BEAD. VistaBeam, I assume, is being a part of the BEAD program now, right?
Yeah. I was just on a BEAD call with one of the states. We've got BEAD awards in 3 states, and we're trying to work through the process of, now it's down to sub-grantee contract negotiation, and we're trying to get a handle on what the reimbursement, what the financial side of it looks like. Because that's trying to actually figure out how to apply the project going forward gets the devil's in the details, trying to figure that out. So I think we've reached that stage. I'm glad the approvals are out there. I would hope that we've got you start to see signed contracts executed on within the next 2-3 months. And, we're trying to kind of iron out the financial model to make everything work. So I'm hopeful we're going to see some stuff actually start to happen here relatively soon. I will say on the fixed wireless side, there will be BEAD customers coming online this year. So Travis's
2026.
His streak is ending.
All right. But hey, I was going to ask.
We'll see how that goes.
I was going to ask Matt on the side, just so I had some inside info, but he leaked it already. So I will put my prediction in January that Matt will hook up customers in 2026, and potentially the only one in the nation. So there you go.
I would agree with that prediction. I think that we're going to get a fixed wireless BEAD customer by the end of 2026. I am holding steady. It might be Matt, it might be somebody else, but I do think we're going to get a
Matt. Yeah. When have you been a part of this, like all of 2025, watching the sort of the program wax and wane and curious what was going to happen next and that sort of a thing?
Yeah. I mean, a year ago, we weren't able to talk about it a year ago because there was sort of an embargo on it, but we had gotten the announcements that we had substantial BEAD awards. And couldn't really say anything about it, but we got all excited and we were planning on it. It's like, all right, look at all this stuff we're going to do and all the things we have to plan for and get the financing lined up and everything. And everybody's like, get your fiber orders in, get your equipment and everything ready to go. And so that didn't happen. And I'm really glad we didn't order any materials or get all this stuff lined up like all the experts were saying, because that would have been a recipe for disaster. And I think we've seen a lot of fallout from that. Lots of companies had to do layoffs. There was kind of a glut of material there for a while. And it was very challenging. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'll bet we put $500,000 worth of man hours and investment and time and effort that we had to do, not only to do our original BEAD applications, but then throughout the year, continue to go through this revision process. Hundreds and hundreds of hours burned on that. And I would have much rather been putting those hours into continuing to build out our network and deliver service to customers. So up to this point, I think BEAD is just taking broadband backwards. And I'm gonna maintain that for a while because of all the effort that's been consumed to try and meet different goals and changes that have come up. I think ultimately I do think it's positive. The delay did mean the program had fewer locations to get to, but a lot of that's because a lot of locations got built out in the meantime. So
can I go ahead, Kim, and then I'll go after you.
Well, I think this is a thing that we're not hearing about is how much money was wasted by either sitting on the sidelines having to redo their BEAD applications, or even vendors who ramped up for the possibility of BEAD. And nobody's really talking about how much money has sat and been just wasted instead of hooking people up because of all these, administration changes, all these policy changes that are happening.
I mean, we did talk about it with Josh, but not enough people listened to us. Yeah. I agree with you on that. Mm-hmm. We talked with Josh from EPC in Louisiana. Matt, I'm curious. Let's assume for a second that everything else goes to plan. You get the funds as needed. You're able to get the build out. You feel like you're going to come out of this being like, you know what? It was hard, but I'm glad we did it. Or do you feel like you're just like, man, what a disaster. You're serving a few more subs and like the cost has been really high. How do you react?
I don't know. I mean, there's a little bit of wait and see in there. A pretty good chunk of the BEAD, the stuff we got in Wyoming and Nebraska is very, it's kind of edge out stuff that really makes a lot of sense for us to go extend into. It's some areas that, especially in Wyoming, it's areas that we've served with fixed wireless that it's legit. There's a good case to put fiber in there. A lot, and almost all of our Nebraska has some fixed wireless. Our Wyoming has a little bit of both. So I'm pretty satisfied with. I think that's going to go really well. I'm a little concerned about what Colorado looks like, just because partially that's a market that's a little newer to us. But I think we're going to feel pretty good about it in 4 or 5 years from now. But in the meantime, there's going to be a lot of pain. Mm-hmm. This is as I've been in broadband for a long time, and obviously you guys know that I'm a fixed wireless proponent, and this has been a big adjustment to get into the fiber construction process. It honestly, I've told people it feels like a monster came in and just consumed all of our extra time and money and focus. And the return so far is terrible. We were already making the money, we were already, had the cash flow with the fixed wireless, and we've spent millions of dollars to put fiber in. The cash flow hasn't really improved that much. Now, if you want to look at balance sheet valuation, do I think in 5 years we're going to be really glad we did it? Yeah, I think we are. Mm-hmm. But it has been very painful so far to get to this point. A lot of that is because we're not private equity funded. It's I'm still, the guy who has my butt on the line for our financing. I know Travis has been in that same situation. It really requires having a lot of patience and having the ability to access some long-term capital at decent rates to really make it work. And that's probably as much as anything the missing piece for me. I don't like being beholden to other shareholders deciding what our goals are. So I've struggled with that. So I apologize for throwing out. I didn't mean to turn this into a therapy session.
Hold on a second.
It's been a struggle.
I mean, I feel like one of the things that I feel like is that, like, you've always been a person who's trying to figure out how to get people connected. And I think you, just for people who aren't familiar with the economics of this, it is interesting to point out that difference of, like, you figured out how to use fixed wireless and not be indebted to others and taking on other capital and still connecting people. And now you're doing a different model, and it's a different kind of connectivity that has this long-term, it has a different implication for the valuation of your business as a whole. But the simple fact is, it's like building a nuclear power plant. You know, you're going to get like 30 or 40 years worth of cheap energy after that, but you have to spend trillions of dollars up front. That's an overstatement. You have to spend $1 billion up front. It's brutal to go through that, I'm sure. Go ahead, Kim.
Well, okay, I have one question and one statement. What, Matt, have you learned through this process that surprised you? And two, now that we know you're responsible for the capital, is why you don't have blinds. I get it now. I get it. Like, you have to be cut costs where necessary.
Blinds.com, Matt.
No, it's legit, man. Like, it is just, you know, we are finishing up some state fiber grant, some state projects we got about 10 million worth of fiber projects. And the way that has worked, you know, Nebraska had like a reimbursement deal where you got, you know, 25% up front and then 25% at 6 months and then the remainder at the end. And it got really sketchy this year after the first 50% was received. The rest that we had to finance on our own. And it didn't help that the government shutdown delayed a lot of that. You know, we had a lot of things that got delayed by the shutdown that affected grant reimbursements and other things that we were working on. So, you know, it just totally broke our projection model, and everything got stretched out. And the BEAD stuff was like right there because we had projections that were based on, okay, if the BEAD program follows this timeline, we know we've got this award, we've got all these things that we're kind of trying to get sketched out and planned, and then BEAD blew up, and it's like, well, there go those projections. What do we do now? You know, and it feels like we've just been in survival mode for the last 6 months trying to kind of plan around this. And, you know, when you get, you know, there's two ways to look at it. Chaos, you know, I love the Game of Thrones quote, chaos is a ladder. You know, you figure out how to make it to the next level. And I know we're going to be able to make it to the next level, but it's had big effect. Other things I have learned, though, I've looked at this $10 million of fiber projects that we've just done. We've been looking at those as training wheels. And looking back, I'm pretty sure we wasted well over $1 million on being inexperienced. So I feel like what we just did on these projects, we learned a lot about how we can do the engineering better. We learned a lot about how to manage the projects better. That is something that is huge on fiber construction that I did not have a concept of. You know, with wireless, you know, there's one type of management, and it's relatively simple. And fiber construction is very, very difficult to do. Like, we literally came into it. The first project we did, we had a really good contractor, and it was like, hey, fiber construction's easy. We get a contractor, we write them a check, they do all the work. You know, oh, I sprained my hand from writing the check. You know, that's the hard part. Not when you're trying to manage all this stuff and trying to wrangle multiple contractors and multiple domains where you have to get the permitting and all the materials and everything. We did not do a turnkey thing. We did a lot more of it ourselves. I will say I am very proud of my team for stepping up and figuring it out. That was wonderful to see the evolution to get to that point. I feel so much more confident that going into BEAD, we're going to be able to do a really good job of getting projects done on time, within budget. And I mean, there'll be outside variables, you know, I'm sure will contribute to it. If we run into permitting issues or contractor issues, or material, although I'm not quite as concerned about material as some others seem to be. So
Well, I assume that
we'll find new and more innovative ways to screw up.
I assume that most of what you learned about fiber construction came from this show, and most of that from Kim.
No, there's the university. I have a doctorate degree from the University of Hard Knocks after the last.
That's the best kind of learning, even though
the last 24 months. It's stuck. It's in there. It's burned in.
Coming from the construction side, I think, Matt, you said something that's really important, is that it is harder than just hiring a construction firm and then just walking away. And I think that's where a lot of people will sell it like, hey, it's going to be easy. I always say when I meet with people, we're going to break something. Something's not going to go right. It's not about that. It's about the partnership to get through it at the end of the day. And I think because it is harder than anybody even really realizes until they're in the learning period of hard knocks, as Matt has had plenty of lessons these past couple of years.
All right, we're gonna have to draw with one final thing to say on BEAD. Matt, do you want to finish your thought?
I just wanted to say fiber construction has an infinite variety of variables in there that can make or break projects. And that's one of the things. It's very hard to take a national policy and when you start breaking it down right to the, when the shovel goes in the ground. I'll just give you an example on permitting. So one of the projects we were talking about was, okay, phase one, engineering and permitting. And it's like, well, it doesn't really make sense to go out and try and permit an entire project when permits expire. And that's something we ran into a lot of local authorities here that do the permitting. It's like, I've got permits that they don't do it. They had somebody else that was doing permitting, and the project didn't get done for 3 years. And so permits expired and they had to go back and redo it. And that's a super heavy load on overtasked local administrators that are starting to hate fiber construction as well, because they've got such a load on that. So, we're trying to permit in phases, but that doesn't necessarily match the program. So there's
right. No, and this is one of those things that I feel like there's so much room for improvement. And what we're going to see, I think, is Republicans in Congress are going to push to try to override local authority. I think it probably won't work out that well. Local authorities will continue to modestly improve permitting in a few places mainly, but mostly it'll just be the status quo. I was talking with some people about this, and there's no one that has the incentive to improve permitting. I've gone through this with a certain other person, and in the sense of like, I was like, well, let's figure out how to improve the permitting in this place. And they were like, no, I've got to figure it out now. I don't want to make it easier for my competitors to come in. So it's just one of those things, like no one really has an incentive to improve permitting. It's pretty frustrating.
Well, and if the FCC demands shot clocks on permitting, local governments will pay no attention. The ISPs will start their construction. They will come out and they will shut them down. If they will come out and shut them down. They have to with the police. The fact is, local communities are going to do it their own way. And so it's a dream that the FCC can change 50,000 different local rules on permitting. I mean, every community is different. Some are easy, some are ridiculous. So, and it's mostly what Matt said. Most local places don't have the people. Their problem is that they don't have the resources. So, the FCC shot clock is not going to fix that. So.
Travis,
have you guys seen? I've only heard this in a couple places. I don't know if it's taking off or not. Where a city says, "Hey, we're going to allow fiber construction. These are the 2 or 3 fiber providers we're going to allow." And then we're going to have a 5-year moratorium on no additional. Have you seen that? Because they're just getting tired of like one coming in and then the next year another one and then another one.
Isn't that kind of what happened in Mesa a little bit?
Yeah, but there's a town in Missouri who did that and they got taken to court because towns aren't allowed to do that, actually. They can't discriminate. They can't discriminate against the fourth guy. Yeah.
Section 253 of the Telecommunications Act of 1996 basically says you can't have barriers to building these networks. Now, the question is at what point, if you say you can't build on these 6 blocks for the next 5 years, that's probably not a barrier to building in the whole town. If you say you can't build in all of downtown for the next 5 years, that probably is a barrier. But most of the cities are somewhere in between, and that's where the courts then have to figure out like what is a barrier to the investment that then basically deals with federal law.
But then during a court case, nobody can build, then it's a mess. I mean, court cases are not what anybody wants. So
yeah, I mean, this comes back to what a lot of us we've come to the conclusion in a lot of these discussions about MDUs and apartment buildings, about anything, which is that we can try to have laws, but ultimately many of the resolutions here have to be outside of the law, because the law just results in unintended consequences, and you can't just force people to fix these challenges. I mean, we can try, and we're going to, but so one other thing was, Matt, did you see the news that dropped yesterday from the Government Accountability Office about NTIA and the BEAD rules? And did your heart skip a beat, or did you just say, you know what, I'm not even going to?
What do the kids say? You know, it's like, I don't, it's like, yeah, I could, BEAD has been, I could see this being, okay, another roadblock. I think we're far enough along the line. Hopefully BEAD gets out the gate and we don't have, you know, the horse doesn't get shot right as the gate opens. Because that's what this review looked like it was doing. It's like, at this point, it's like, just let it go and let's move on to the next thing.
Well, I think if the Congress was different, it might be a bigger deal. But so what happened, for people who aren't familiar, when an agency makes a rule, thanks to actually something called the CRA, the
Congressional Records Act.
Thank you, Congressional Review Act, which was a brainchild of what's his name, the Georgia guy from 1994, the Gingrich, his revolution, right? The idea was that Congress should be able to overrule a bad regulation from pointy-headed government bureaucrats. And so when a regulation is passed by a agency, it has to be reviewed by Congress, and Congress has like 60 days in which they can basically get rid of it. This is why we have no privacy laws around internet service providers, why Comcast and AT&T can like sell a ton of our private data, because the Federal Communications Commission made a rule about it, said, hey, we should have some basic rules about like protecting people's like work online and their data. And the Republicans came in 2016 and said, in 2017 after the 2016 election, and said, no, we should not have any rules on privacy. And so the Federal Communications Commission got tossed by this very process. So when NTIA developed the revision on BEAD in March, by law, they're supposed to submit that to Congress for Congress to decide whether or not they want to act on it. It's all academic because Congress wasn't going to act on it. Like, you know, the Senate and the House were not gonna buck the approach of the Trump on BEAD, and so it's kind of academic. But at the same time, one of the things I saw suggested that the Congressional or the Government Accountability Office told them back in June, hey, you're violating the law. You're not following the procedure. And NTIA was like, talk to the hand and just moved on. And you know, it's just like one of those things where you just, so yesterday, all of a sudden we all found out about this and we're like, wait, what's going to happen now? Is there going to be a pause? And I think most people are like, probably nothing, because Congress does not want to act on this. They don't want to take responsibility, which is a shocker for a body that is known for wanting to take responsibility on things.
Now, the worst case I see is that will force them to do the 60-day thing at Congress, who will then do nothing, and then it kicks back in. And meanwhile, the states can continue to do their thing. So that, you know, they're not going to make them go back to June.
I don't even think they're going to pause, though. I mean,
Well, they might pause on paper and say, yes, we're referring it to Congress. Meanwhile, the states will keep on doing their
thing. The thing is, it's not even 60 days. Like, this is where I get so confused. This is where lawyers get so, because it's like 60 days in which the Senate is in session or something which turns out to be like 16.3 light years. I know that's not time, but you get the point.
Yes.
Just frustrating. So anyway, I don't think anything's happening from it, but it's yet another sign in which the people that are making these decisions do not care about the law. They get to do what they want to do. And then when the other people come to power, they don't get to do what they want to do because they're bad people. So this is what we have now for government, it seems like, and the courts are cool with it.
Tell me what you think about it, Chris. Tell me
there
your
are no
opinion
rules.
about this.
There are no rules. Like, if you think there's rules, you're a sucker. That's what the rule is. So DEA, Kim, you nailed this prediction. The Digital Equity Act. Kim, I think, literally said it's gone. Yes. It's gone. Not
the
because
one
Congress
prediction I got
changed his
right
mind.
was just morbid. Yeah, sweet. Thanks,
Yeah.
Chris.
Not because Congress changed his mind, but because $2.5
It's just
billion.
gone.
It's gone. Trump
gone.
said in a social truth Truth Social post, it's gone, and it's gone
What
until
did
the
Travis-
lawsuits go through and they find that they can't just do this. So
How
we'll
did
see.
Travis not agree with me on this? What did he say?
Travis just didn't
He
say
didn't say
anything. On it.
anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
You made the only prediction.
Yeah. Travis did say about the workforce that he expected that that we weren't going to see significant disruptions in the workforce because we were talking about the deportations and that sort of a thing. And he said they were only going to deport criminal elements. Well, he could not have been more wrong about that, but he, I think, is right in that there hasn't been a disruption of the workforce. So, I mean, to give you an idea of the recent Chicago, there was like 1,800 people, I think, who were wrapped up by ICE, and 62 of them, I think, had a violent criminal record, and like a few of them had DWIs or things like that. But they're going after the workforce, but it's not having an impact from what I can tell. So I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts.
So is that right then? Did I get two right?
You got, well, it's like before. Doug and I both had this where we got one totally wrong and one right. So I think that, you know, you get like, you know, 1 point in each direction.
Yeah, my prediction on this was really bad. So yeah.
Doug said that we would see movement of people, and I don't know, we might be seeing it. We don't have any records. That's another thing. We don't have any like idea of what's actually going on because no one keeps records of anything anymore.
Well, I
so
said there'd be a lot of movement from red states to blue states to get away from the problem. It turns out it's just the opposite. Since they're mostly cracking down blue states, we're seeing out migration. So,
yeah, I'll be curious to see. I mean, like Tennessee and these other places, you know, like I'll be curious to see what happens because I think it seems like the situation in Chicago is such that Trump's people will be focusing more on red states where the governors are in support, I think. So maybe we'll see that dynamic.
But back to something you said, there has actually been very large changes in the workforce in certain markets. I mean, I have friends in DC. The restaurants, there's no one showing up for the workers. People like roofing companies and painters, they're all gone. They all left. They've all self-deported or moved to another state. I mean, those workforces in those areas have simply disappeared. I mean, they are literally not there anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that myself. I've been trying to keep an eye out for stories of that. I feel like it's, you know, this is that one issue the press isn't doing a good job of covering.
Yeah.
We talked about affordable state plans. And here again, Kim nailed it. Kim, you thought you were getting it right. I think you got the ones that you got right. You got more right than anyone else. So New York had implemented their plan to have low income cost service. We debated this and talked about it. You guys ganged up on me. Now Matt can join you in ganging up on me because I think these laws are a reasonable approach for states. And Doug and I both thought we would see numerous states enact rules to require a low income plan. Kim said 0 and Travis said less than 0. He said New York was going to be taken back. And by the end of the year, New York's program would not be in effect. I will say, you know, and this is just me being like Mr. trying to please everyone. Travis, the New York program has not been like a huge success in that a lot of people don't know about it and haven't signed up for it, but it is still in effect. So I'm not giving you the point.
All right.
No, I think Kim is the winner again.
Yeah,
Matt,
but
any thoughts on these low income?
Yeah, I'm not proud of these predictions, but I think that it goes into interfering with public and private business. And I Matt, you might agree with this, is I just don't think that the government has the right to say what ISPs should charge for the service.
We all hate it. I don't think any of us have plans.
No, I defend it because like
Chris loves it. Come on.
I take that back. I take that back.
I don't love it. My point is just that, like, you know, if you want to be a sit here, my argument is that we should tailor these more, but I am not going to sit here and shed a tear that Comcast has lost 0.01% of their profit and that 1 million people have an internet connection in their homes. To me, it's a trade-off that's well worth making. I don't love it. I would like to see it solved in other ways, but if I'm a governor, if I'm a state legislator, I would like to see millions of people get internet service. And like, we don't have any other solution on the table right now. So like, that's my reaction to it.
Yeah, but
Matt, I asked you your opinion, but we haven't given you a chance to share it.
So after the rug got pulled on us with ACP, we decided to put our own plan together. And so we came up with a set of discounts and they're not huge. I don't
and
know.
You built 4 workplace centers too on top of that, didn't you?
Well, 2.
Okay.
And then we that's a different deal. The digital empowerment centers is one thing. And then we also have kind of a mini version that we put in senior centers, but that's Microsoft. I have to give credit where credit is due. Microsoft actually gave us some support to help do those, so that helped. But we came up with our own deal. We call it Connect with Respect, and it's $5 discounts if you're a senior, if you're a veteran, if it's low income, and the low income typically is tied to a lifeline reimbursement.
That sounds unconstitutional to me.
Well,
okay. No. But what I said is forcing it. Matt didn't say he was forced to do it. He did it as like.
No, you said that. I agree. I'm just disagreeing with you, and it's okay. Most people agree with you. I'm in the minority. I'm okay with it.
What do you disagree with on that, Chris?
I disagree, though. I think government has the right to do it. In terms of that, I mean, it's an essential utility. Government has the right to intervene on these issues. Now, there's different ways it could intervene. One way would be the way that Travis has talked about, which is that he would love to have the monopoly granted by government. That's a path that government could go, to have one internet service provider to guarantee enough money to serve everyone. I don't think that's a great idea. I've said that numerous times. Yeah, I'm with you on that. So for me, it's like you have several different alternatives of how to try and reach low-income people that have been left behind. To me, forcing the biggest carriers that have multiple billions of dollars of profit per quarter to offer this service to people who basically have nothing anyway at cost or close to it is a reasonable policy from my point of view. I don't think they should force it on VistaBeam. I didn't think they should force it on USI, but like for the largest carriers, I think it's totally reasonable. So, and I will say forced, even if they don't get grant funds, it's that important. So Matt first and then Travis.
No, I just wanted to say we did that because we felt like there was a good moral imperative to do something like that, because we see a lot of people where that discount, makes a difference for people. But I do feel like the rug got pulled out from under us with ACP. So that's why we put that in place, because we had we had some people that were going to be displaced by it. But
and you have relationships with them. I mean, this is the whole thing. This is one of the things I love about you, Matt, is that you like ILSR and the work that we do. Like we're united in understanding that small businesses that have relationships with people in the community are an important part of the fabric of America for 200 years. It's really important.
Exactly. Now, where I think government could play a part in this is at the state level. I think all states kind of have different sets of variables, but I think it would be great if the state actually helped support that. Now, if there was a federal umbrella that provided some funding to the states, but I love the idea of the states being able to help with the management of that problem and helping keep track of it. Because the problem is when we attack things at a federal level, you're taking this 50,000 foot view, and it gets corrupted in all kinds of weird and different ways. So I had some issues with ACP. It was what it was. I would much rather see state-run programs to deal with low income and that sort of thing. But that's a personal preference.
Travis?
Oh, I was just going to comment on the forcing Comcast or the other big carriers to do it did not affect Matt or I, but indirectly it would. If you tell Matt's biggest competitor they've got to offer a $5 a month program to get that certain segment of the market, Matt has to as well, or that segment is gone. So I guess I was going to say it does. There is a trickle down. And on the monopoly thing, my point is it's a heck of a lot easier to be the power company when everybody's a customer than it is to be an ISP and you're only taking your sliver of the pie.
No, I agree, and I think that this is the question of the trade-offs, right? And we've seen hundreds of countries, or at least more than 100. I don't know how it all broke down, but over the past 100 years, most countries had a telecom monopoly in order to resolve this issue. It's not unique to electricity. They did it for telecom as well. We had it until 1996, and we did a private company, but a lot of other places did a public national company. I don't look at that as a model of success. And so the question is for adults is one of we don't like any of these policies. We need to get to the other end somehow. Which policy that we don't like all entirely are we going to go with? Doug, I think you're ready to jump in.
Well, I still liked ACP a lot, and I agree with Matt. State-run ACPs would be better than the federal-run ACP. But that was a decent enough discount that applied to companies of all sizes, and $30 a month made a difference. $30 is a significant discount. So, I think it had a lot of. No, that program gave 2/3 of their money away to cell phone customers. They should have given none to them. So that was my biggest problem with it. But yeah. But they were doing a lot of good in places. I mean, Charter signed up 7 million people on ACP. That's 7 million families who got a $30 discount.
It's 1 in 3 ACP subs.
Right. I mean, that was a big deal. So
by your numbers, every single person that wasn't on wireless was on Charter.
Well, quite honestly, they were 90% of the landline ones. They were, yeah. Everyone else was like Travis and had 15 people, and they had 7 million. So yes, they were almost all of them. So.
We're running out of time. We're gonna go a little fast through some of these, but we can pause for any of them for the substantive discussion. Banning TikTok said it would not happen. Broad agreement. We all agreed TikTok would not actually be banned because, like I said earlier, there are no rules. Congress passed the law, the president signed it. The Supreme Court said it's a valid law, and we all just decided let's pretend it doesn't.
I forgot that even happened in 2025. I forgot that was even a thing.
That's so long ago.
Well, it'll happen again in 2026 because Trump's trying to get it to his friends at an incredible discount. So we'll see what happens there. On the USF, the Supreme Court was deciding on it, and I said there would be no change. I feel very good about that. Kim said the Supreme Court will find the USF unconstitutional, and then Congress would say they're going to take action on it. That's just laughable, Kim. I assume that was a joke.
Chris.
That was a very dead joke.
Thanks, Chris. Okay.
Doug said it was. Doug also nailed it. SCOTUS will say that it's constitutional. No one does anything, and Travis said the opposite of Doug. So, Travis, you forgot. You're usually just the opposite of me, but you went with the opposite of Doug there. Double loss for you.
We're spreading the love around a little bit. So
yeah. We'll talk about whether we'll see we expect anything from USF in the future. Matt, as a provider, I'm assuming you're not thinking there's going to be any USF that you can take advantage of at any point in the future, I'm guessing, or do you think there's some hope for someone like you to take advantage of it? Because you're serving people in areas that in theory would be eligible for a universal service fund.
And insert the point in the show where I talk about infrastructure bank, because I have literally had discussions with the state of Nebraska about trying to take some of their USF money that is building up by quite a bit right now and turning that into an infrastructure bank situation that we could borrow from to go out and build projects on and pay back over a longer period of time. Because that's the other thing, like I said, when we got into this fiber construction thing, if we had access to long-term capital, we would have been building a lot more fiber, but we don't have access to that. So we have to continually, kind of muddle through with what we've been doing. So I know I felt like, a voice in the wilderness, but there's a pretty good pack of people are starting to talk about infrastructure bank type structures going forward. So I'm hopeful that maybe we could take some of the USF money and put it into that, because the idea behind an infrastructure bank is that it's a renewable resource. Mm-hmm. And as it gets paid back, it can be used in the future. I've had really good luck with that at an economic development level in the state of Nebraska. We've gotten grants for job creation and been able to borrow money, and we pay back into those funds. And I've been able to go back and borrow from them multiple times. That's the sort of thing I think we should have. And broadband is worthy of being something that could be used to do that. That would also, I think, help prevent the encroachment of private equity and big operators that have access to capital to do this sort of thing from coming in and running over smaller providers because they don't have access.
Travis would like to help you get that done, and he has time on his hands now. One other thing,
I do want to give Matt credit, because in the 125 episodes we've been doing this show, that is the finest idea that's come out of the show so far.
And Matt's here in spirit, because it comes up, I feel like, every other show where we salute that idea. One of the things that I love about it that I haven't said before is that when the state of Nebraska has some extra money and it's like, we should help broadband, they don't have to design a new program. They can just give it to the bank and have the bank take care of it. And so it's nice to have programs like that where you don't need legislators having to figure out how to reinvent a new program from scratch. Doug?
Well, and most of the countries in Europe have had this for 50 years. It's just a wonderful program because it as Matt says, you build a project, the money gets paid back. You lend it out again. It's government money, but it's perpetual. This is how we built the rural electric grids. Exactly this program. So it works. I don't know why we haven't thought about using it for broadband. So it would have been a lot better than BEAD. Like, why do we just create a $45 billion lending program?
So we've talked about this numerous times. I'll just offer the quick answer, which is that is not a recipe for connecting every last home. And the goal of Congress was to make sure that every home was connected, which requires more central planning. I don't much like that myself, but that was how they structured it. So I prefer, I much prefer the indirect and the federalist approach. Federal funds rate. Speaking of which, Travis, this is the one that I was telling you got right. I don't know if you remember that or not. You said it would be 3.5 right now. So if we did this show 2 weeks ago, you would have been wrong, but you got it right, I think. And Doug was the worst. Doug said 5.25. I said 4.75. Kim said the same as one of us, but it wasn't clear who she was agreeing with. So I
think she meant the same as what it was then. Is what she?
Yeah, I think I meant the same. It wasn't.
Well, in that case, she takes second place.
And that was like 4.25 a year ago, something, right?
Yeah, because Travis was down 0.5 point, I think.
Yeah.
The other idiosyncratic things. Travis said there's going to be more expenses from new regulations from the state, from like underground digging and stuff like that. You have a sense that costs have gone up, Travis, because of those sorts of things?
I wouldn't say exponentially, but in Minnesota, there's been a fair number of new pipeline safety initiatives that need to happen now. More construction is going to generate more of this. Again, in Minnesota, there's some bereavement pay and things that are coming out in 26 that are really going to be. But it was a lot of these. A lot of these are more related to just employment versus broadband specifically. The one I know broadband specific is a lot of emphasis on pipeline safety and certifications that weren't prior. Okay.
Travis, you said we would be surprised in a pleasant direction with the new Federal Communications Commission with regard to spectrum. I think we were surprised in an unpleasant direction about some of the things they did, but I wouldn't say that I think you got that wrong. I don't know if you want to defend it.
With SpaceX purchasing the spectrum from Dish, would that qualify for my answer?
Matt, what do you think? Matt's our spectrum guy today. Are we pleasantly surprised with this FCC on spectrum?
Too early to tell. I know we've been very concerned about the idea of taking CBRS and giving it to AT&T and forcing a pretty robust and pervasive CBRS ecosystem to up and relocate. So AT&T can have another, or whoever can have another 150 megahertz worth of spectrum. So that part's been pretty disturbing. Other than that, it doesn't seem like there's been a lot of movement around. The only way I could even think about getting behind that CBRS relocation was if there was a rip and replace, and we could get funded to replace all of our existing CBRS stuff with really expensive Tirana on government dime. From a financial standpoint, from a company point of view, that sounds like that might be an acceptable idea, but it would really that would be a huge waste of money in a lot of ways. So I don't know. The idea of having to relocate a bunch of spectrum to make more room for mobile doesn't seem like it's exactly the right approach. Especially when mobile seems to be so intent on taking big chunks of their spectrum and putting it towards fixed wireless, which it's not really the best spectrum for that. It would be better to keep mobile spectrum should be used for mobile services and not trying to, tack another service on top of the same infrastructure. But
yes. So I would say, Travis, I think you're close, but we're going to round down.
Yeah, perfect.
Travis said that I would be a fan of Project Kuiper. Nope, fail.
Huge fan. Already ordered his dish. Yeah.
Also, Travis said that he was going to take me to a cool new barbecue place, but I'm pretty sure we didn't do that.
It's here in Texas. You haven't come yet, so.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a caveat.
I said that it was. I said we should entertain the possibility that Starlink will be nationalized by the Trump administration. Not even close. We didn't see any discussion about that. I'm not. I still think it's possible in the next several years. I did mention that I didn't think the Trump administration, which said that it was very important that we took over Greenland and Canada and I think maybe Panama, that they didn't do that. So I'm going to take a win on that.
But we have the Gulf of America. But we have the
that's
Gulf
true.
of America.
Yeah, that's made my life better on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Roger was coming from CES. One of his observations was that Wi-Fi 7 was everywhere. I think Wi-Fi 7's been a dog. There's incompatibility issues. I feel like wasn't a prediction, but I thought it was an interesting trend is that Wi-Fi 7 hasn't been the success I think we thought it might be.
And the problem is it's just not being built into devices. People are not replacing devices. It's going to be fine, but it's just not. It's coming slowly. Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people see the need is their bigger issue.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
Well, the funny thing is they should. People all complain about the Wi-Fi in their house, and that would fix most of their problems. But they don't understand that. So,
yeah, but nobody understands. Like, they just want it to work.
No,
I think that's where technology people get mixed up with like industry folks. Like broadband. I always say this. Nobody cares about broadband as much as I do. I was actually on a call yesterday and somebody goes, yeah, we're building this network, but I just took the $40 Comcast plan because it was cheap. And I was like, this is the problem. They work in the industry.
This is why we can't have nice things.
So I just put Wi-Fi 7 in my house and to replace Wi-Fi 6. And the only difference was my download speed went up by 100 meg.
Yeah.
That's the problem, Matt. Like, would you even recommend somebody replacing their stuff to Wi-Fi 7?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I do Wi-Fi to work better. If Wi-Fi 7 works that much better, great. But it actually took me a little bit of configuring because when I first put it in, it actually ran quite a bit worse. But it turned out it was going to 2.4, and then finally we got everything adjusted and working right. But Wi-Fi 7 is not. Wi-Fi 6 is just fine as long as it's deployed. Wi-Fi, the previous most covers 98% of the applications, no problem. So it's kind of like 6G. It's like, okay, we didn't even finish deploying 5G yet, and haven't really seen that much.
Yeah, no, from 4G to 5G, you it's hard to tell the difference. Bob Knight had said that we would see more churn from companies running the business from the spreadsheet rather than having good practices. I don't think we really know that. But he also said some big and well-known players will fold due to their own incompetence. That's my take on what he said. I don't know if we saw that.
I think we saw that in CenturyLink kind of gave up. They kind of just gave up. So, yeah.
Okay. I think we were expecting a certain other company that has... claimed to be serving 40 or 50 cities to fall apart, but it hasn't yet, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
And then, Doug and I had previously, we already covered this, but Doug and I called the breakup between Trump and Musk. So is there anything else that we want to talk about over the course of the year?
Have they broken up or did they get back together?
They'll be getting back together.
Yeah, they're back.
This election gets,
Okay.
I mean, so Isaacman as head of NASA, he hasn't been confirmed yet, I think, right? He's still sort of like bouncing around. That's a sign that like Trump is not trying to screw Elon, but I don't know that they're friendly. I think they just they both see that they need not to be enemies right now, is my impression.
Fair enough.
Okay. I wanted to suggest that we also just do a year in review for Elon because Travis makes this claim over and over again that he wouldn't want to bet against Elon. And this is the year of full self-driving. How's that going?
Pretty good, actually. Had a friend.
Pretty good. 500 cars in Austin was the target. He's hoping to have 50.
Well, are you saying full self-driving or autonomous driving?
Well, he said full self-driving, the autonomous style in 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. He said he'd have 500 vehicles in Austin with it.
So my buddy takes his Tesla from home to work every day, and the Tesla does 100% of the driving.
So actually,
journey.
A friend of mine does that with the Cybertruck, and frequently in turning left, it cuts into the lane of the perpendicular traffic. And what's fun is if he doesn't correct it, it corrects itself, and it feels like you're in a crash because it just shudders all over the place. And the logs from
Austin. That's like when I drove with you. Yeah. Okay.
I was thinking the same thing.
The evidence is so bad. Yeah. So the evidence is so bad that in the other cities where Tesla's trying to do these assisted driving with the driver who doesn't drive sitting in the car, they won't even let him do that because the service is so bad. So not going well. The Optimus robot, terrible, disaster, and probably not going to work at all, according to anyone. So basically, SpaceX is working and Tesla's kind of working.
Who are these anyones? You read all these weird left-wing news articles.
It's not left-wing, it's engineers. How many engineers are on the left wing?
There's a few. The same guy that said that SpaceX wasn't going to work, and come on, Chris.
Yeah, no. So
do not bet against Musk.
Yeah, so he achieved one suborbital flight with Starship, and this is the Will. What's his name? The guy who you're referring to. He's argued, I think, convincingly that he's not going to be able to do this on the regular. There is no evidence to suggest that Starship is going to be able to get the payload into space that he originally claimed, let alone the one that he adjusted it to.
Let's wait till the next show when we do our predictions. Then.
Yeah, I'd say yes.
Yes.
So,
but I'll tell you what. Starlink is amazing, bar none. The tech is unreal.
In the last show, I asked you why you're going to bother having a fiber backup, and you didn't even understand the question.
Yeah. Well, because they're not.
He's retired now. He's retired now. He doesn't understand.
Chris, if I don't have the internet, what am I going to do?
Well, why would you think you wouldn't have the internet? You say Starlink is that good. I don't understand why you're not going to have the internet with
nothing is 100%. So even fiber. Even fiber has outages. Packet loss or peering issues, or this stuff.
Yeah. Also, it came out this year that Elon knew Hyperloop would never work, and it was always advanced as just a way to try to sabotage competitors. I would say not a great year for Elon. Oh, the other thing, he did that little thing in government. He said he was going to reduce the deficit. He was going to reduce government spending by $2 trillion. And he missed by $2.5 trillion. Truly a remarkable achievement. And now that agency is being dismantled.
Well, remember, let's not forget, if we're talking politics here now, your guy lost $18 billion of our money in Minnesota. So run with that now.
$18 billion?
So just announced today, $18 billion.
I'll have to check that out. I'm curious. And I don't know what you mean by your guy. Who's my guy? Like all the Somali fraudsters?
Walnuts and Harris and all those clowns.
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't let this guy run a lemonade stand.
That's fine. I don't know why Target's CEO hasn't been fired for all the theft they've had. I actually am curious. Have you seen the story, Doug, out of the fraud that we're finding out? I think it's about Verizon. We haven't confirmed it yet, but the level of fraud in New York and New England from, is it ASG, American Sales Group or something? The hundreds of millions of dollars that were defrauded, slowing down deployments and all that stuff.
Yeah. This industry's always had that underlying fraud. It's usually vendor related. So
no, fraud only occurs when to different Democratic politicians. That's what matters.
Reflect.
I don't know whose mic that was. I assume it was yours, Travis, but it sounds like I'm trying to censor you, and I just want to give you the chance to say that over again.
Did you censor me? That's okay.
I just feel like, I don't know, like Elon drives me a little bit crazy because the guy's gotten a few things really right and he just screws up tons of other stuff and he gets let off the hook for it. He just lies all the time and makes all this stuff up, and I don't know. I kind of hope he goes to Mars. I wish him luck.
Well,
with that in mind, I have to run, so I don't know about the rest of it.
I know.
You're abandoning?
Like a Blue Sky account where Chris could pull this from. So.
Oh man!
You'll be the one Texas account in Blue Sky.
Is it Blue Sky or Blue Moon? Where do you guys hang out at? I always forget because us over on Twitter,
You on Twitter? I'll have to see how many posts you've been putting up there, Travis.
Zero. I'm a lurker only. So.
And it's X, by the way. Just saying.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was talking about. Even I was totally confused.
I admire a guy that gets a single letter domain name back in the day. That was some forethought. I wish I would have. I only have 2 letters in mine, so I was kind of late to the game. So,
what were they?
What? Mine? OA.net. So that's my 2-letter one. I didn't even get a .com. I got a .net. So
all right. Well, we got to let Doug go, and let's let the whole year go. We'll see what happens next year. See if we can pull the show back together for 2026 predictions. And hope you all have a happy New Year, happy holidays, and all that. Thanks for coming on.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yes, indeed. Merry
Good
Christmas.
luck.